Hi, everyone. Welcome to the fourth episode of the Daughter Dearest podcast. I am Simone Canego,
And I'm Olivia Canego.
and we are the co-hosts of the podcast. We talk about things
Everything.
that, yeah, everything, things that matter to us. It's authentic mother-daughter conversations. We really talk about what you're thinking inside your head, but you're concerned to say it. So if you've listened to some of our previous episodes, you will know that we say everything that we're thinking. So today we thought we would talk about happiness and kindness in this very polarizing world right now. And I'm kind of feeling like a little unhappy right now, which is unusual for me, but I've had like multiple things in a row that happened today. So it's like the perfect time to talk about this.
Yeah, my day's actually going pretty good. I had accounting this morning. I got well above the average on my exam. So that's always like a fantastic news. Like,
Yes.
especially I'm not a math person. So it's like kind of amazing. And then I went home and I have nothing to do today. I just have to catch a flight in the evening, I guess, besides the podcast. So I'm I love
Hello. The
to
most important thing is the podcast.
well, yeah,
Nothing to
this
do
makes me
today.
happy, but I love what makes me truly happy laying in my bed. I mean, other things make me happy, but we talked about this last episode about like not wanting to go out and everything, but I get my energy from just like, you know, laying around.
Do you feel that happiness, like I have my own thoughts on happiness, but is it an emotion? It's a feeling? Is it a mindset? Is it a state of mind? I mean, those are all kind of similar, but like what do you feel that happiness is?
Happiness is really hard to explain for me at least, because I would say on average, my life is a happy life. I mean, I have the basics. I have more than the basics. In class, we talk about, I forget the specific guy who invented it, the hierarchy of needs. And that's like really important for consumer behavior and marketing. But like, I have my life, I would consider happy because I have all of the things that I can want and more, except for that internship, just so everyone knows. Still plugging.
She's still looking.
Whatever, you never know who's going to be listening.
You never know.
Um, but there are moments in my life, even though I have this great life, I'm living life the exact way I want to, but there are moments where I truly am unhappy. Um, so maybe it's hard because it can be an emotion at times, but in general, I feel like it's a mindset, and um it's just like a baseline feeling.
I okay, first I'm going to agree with you that even if you're like the happiest person I know, you still have moments of unhappiness. Like that
And if
just
you
is
don't,
like,
I don't trust you because you're
yeah.
not telling me what's everything that's going on in your life, because there's no way that even if your life is perfect, you're not feeling
And there's no such thing as perfect. So nobody's life is perfect. Everybody struggles. And it's just like when we said that we don't trust people who say they don't shit in their pants or they haven't ever shit in their pants. It's the same kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
if someone tells you they're happy all the time, there's got to be something behind that story.
Yeah.
But for me, it's really I feel like it's really a mindset that I have a choice every morning when I wake up. And yes, there are outside influences, and we're not talking anything to do with mental health right now. This is
Mhm.
just the idea of happiness. That it's a mindset that I can wake up every morning and I can choose to be happy or I can choose to be miserable. And that completely affects my entire day. So it affects how I interact with other people. It affects how I feel about myself. So for me, I really feel like it's a mindset. And yes, it's a feeling as well. But for me, I kind of have to set it in the direction that I want it to go. So that's kind of how I see it. And I think it leads to a lot of different things. And we'll continue with that in a moment in terms of kindness and that's part of how you deal with other people. So
I think mindset is everything though. And that there's this whole thing now that's probably the last 2 years about manifesting your goals and dreams. And to some people, that's just like voodoo TikTok bullshit. But in actuality, if you put your mind to something, like, and this has amazed me over the years. I thought everything that I've ever achieved has just been through luck. But no, it's just because I thought I was going to do it and then I did it.
yeah, I mean that's part of an imposter syndrome, right? Feeling like that it's not your value is not making something happen. The work that you put in
Yeah.
is not making something happen. It's just luck, which is totally not true. I mean, I think that the things that we do every day, the choices we make. It's not just setting the goal, it's putting the work in behind it. And
Yeah.
that, so that's why I think, yes, I agree with you. Mindset is so important for everything that we do. And, manifesting things. I mean, you see tons of people who that's how they talk about things. And if you believe in yourself, other people believe in you, and that's where the magic happens. So, but you got to start with that believing in yourself first.
Yeah. 100%.
And then, so today was just like one of those days, one thing after the other of things that were
Oh,
happening. And
that was Wednesday for me.
yeah, I thought it was Thursday. No, it
Oh,
was okay, whatever. It was a Wednesday and Thursday.
yeah, a combo. But
Yeah,
Thursday saved it because I
yeah,
had a law midterm and it went like super well. So
yeah, yeah. But, so like I've been out of the house for like 6 hours today, just doing like crap work, like not getting anything really done. So I went to, I was a little frustrated. I had to get this X-ray done, and I had to walk in, and so I'm sitting there waiting, and she's like, "Okay, you have 3 people ahead of you." I was like, "Okay, no problem, thank you so much." And then another guy comes in, and I've been waiting an hour, which is again fine. And then the next thing I know, they pull the guy back, and I was like, "Wait, excuse me, I thought you said I was going to be next." And she's like, "Oh, I totally messed up. I am so sorry." And so, yeah, she had kind of forgotten about me and put everybody else's chart on top of mine, which again, the point of the story is that I could have like been like angry about the whole situation, but she was so nice. Like she was super apologetic, and I was like, it's okay. And I really try to, that's a piece of mindset where I just say to myself, like, if you were in this situation, how would you want someone to treat you? And this woman was so happy. She was just like super kind, and just everybody that walked in the door, she was so nice to. And I just thought to myself, that's how you need to be. And if you make a mistake, you make a mistake. But if you're nice to people, they're going to be okay with it, and they're not going to yell at you if you, not that I would yell at anybody anyways, but they're not going to yell at you if you make a mistake, because you're doing your best job, and you're being nice.
yeah, I just think treating people with kindness is so important. And living in New York, it has generally this stereotype of being like mean people, and um, to some extent that's true. People are just really in a rush, in a hurry to get places, and they have no patience. But a lot of the times when you're going in to stores or just talking to people, all they're craving is like that human connection. And you being rude to them shuts that off, and you're perpetuating the cycle of unhappiness and rudeness and just being a general bad person.
Yeah, I mean, don't you feel like when you give kindness, you get it right back? Like I feel like
Yeah.
in so many situations that when I watch how other people treat, especially when we talk about customer service, which is like one of my favorite things to talk about. But I always like to move forward thinking like, this is a family member I'm speaking to. And everybody's like, you're talking to customer service. I'm like, no, you're talking to a person that
Yeah.
has a life, and you don't know what's going on in their life. And maybe they're having a really bad day. And by being rude, all you're doing is making it worse for both of you. And so I always make sure that when I start a customer service conversation with a person, that I lead with kindness and first ask them about how their day is going. And let me tell you the magical things that can happen just by showing interest. And
Mhm.
again, you want to be authentic. It's not like I'm faking it, saying, let me just ask her this question because then maybe she'll be nice to me. No, it's like that's how I want again, it goes back to mindset. That's what I want my personality to come across as. And I see like the positive effects of it every time. And even your dad, this is one of my favorite things because he hates doing anything with customer service, which like if he has to
Mhm.
make a phone call, he's like, can't you do this for me? I'm like, you can make one phone call a year. I think you
Yeah,
can
okay.
handle it. And so I forget, he had to call about something, and he was like, fine, I'll do it. Later that day, he said to me, I pulled a Simone. And I was like, I don't know what that means. And I don't know if I want to know what that means.
Yeah.
And he said, no, when I called, I asked the person about their day. And guess what happened? They were really nice to me. I found out that where she lived and what she did, and I know her name and all these things. And guess what? She got the problem resolved, and both of them were happy. And he was like, I see this. And he tells me all the time now that he pulls a Simone when people are getting angry at each other, he tries to step in a way that kind of diffuses the situation to show people like, wait, we're all still people sitting around here.
Yeah, no one, I mean, you just have to put yourself in that position. If you were treated rudely, would you want to help the person? No, not even if it was my job. So I wouldn't do my best effort there. I would be angry while doing it. And yeah, maybe that's bad, but that's just how humans work. No one wants to be treated rudely.
No, absolutely not. I mean, again, you have a choice about
Yeah.
not everything, but you have a choice when it comes to you can be kind or you can be rude. And like, why choose to be rude just to be rude? Like, it doesn't get you any, you know, farther in anything that you're doing. It makes you even angrier, I think.
Yeah.
But I do think also, something I want to talk about, if the intersection of kindness and happiness. Like, I believe that if you manifest happiness, if your mindset is all about happiness, you're going to be a kinder person. And when you're kind, you feel happier. What do you think?
Yeah, but then like the cynic part of me is like,
Yeah.
well, maybe you can be too kind and then people will take advantage of you. And that's never happened to me. I've never been quoted for being too kind before. I
Yeah.
just, I was talking to a friend that is abroad right now and she was catching me up on her life. And at one point I looked at her and I was like, you need to start putting yourself first. And that's also, it's just a hard intersection of life of, yes, you want to be kind and help people. And yeah, maybe that brings you happiness, but if they're not reciprocating or they're making you feel worse, why are you continuing? But
Yeah.
that's just like the sinning part. Like in general, be kind.
Yeah.
Just know the limits.
But yeah, again, there are limits to everything. I mean, I'm not talking about just letting people step all over you. That's not how I see kindness. But like it's going out of your way to help another person when you see that they need help. And sometimes even when you don't see that they need help, asking the question, can I help you? Instead of
Yeah.
just walking by the person and ignoring everything. And like simple things. So traffic around here has gotten like miserable. I was just saying that we've had the same guy clean our pool for 17 years now, and he just texted me that he's not coming anymore. And I was like, 17 years, you're not coming anymore? He's like, yeah, the traffic is too bad, and they're changing it so we can't turn directly into your street, so I'm not coming anymore. And I was like, okay, people are like angry on the roads these days and
Yeah.
getting out of our street. Let me tell you, people do not want to let you in. I'm like, you could slow down for 1.2 seconds and let me in and go about your day. But no, nobody wants to stop. They just want to. So I make sure that I stop a lot and let people in because I was like, this is what I want to happen to me. Like, I want people to stop and let me in. So maybe
And that's
tomorrow,
karma.
yeah, maybe tomorrow they'll be driving and they'll let me in. You never know. But it's I think people are just like angry these days. There's so many hard things happening in our world, and sometimes it's hard to move away from it, right? Like it's hard to kind of see the goodness when, well, especially watching the news, there's so much negativity and everything political, and which we're not going to talk about, but it's hard. I think it's becoming harder to have the mindset of being happy because there are so many outside influences.
Yeah. Well, my follow up to that is there's no point in living a miserable life.
I agree.
But I wanted to ask you, like, has there been times in your life where you're just truly unhappy?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, trust me, I try to set my day and be happy as much as possible. But when times are tough, you have to remind yourself it's easy to go down a path of complete unhappiness. For a long time for me, I think when I was really struggling with self-doubt, I was not a happy person. When I didn't think that I had value and that I didn't feel like I was making a difference in the world at all. And part of that goes back to people saying things to me again, you hear something enough times, you start believing it. Like you see your value in your title and not in your actual person. And so I remember sitting at a luncheon next to this woman who was a CEO of some company, and she asked me what I did. And at the time, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I said, "I'm a stay-at-home mom." And she goes, "Oh, I can't imagine anything worse." Okay, thank you so much. Right? So,
What a
like,
really bad thing to say to someone.
right?
Although I think I would say that to an accountant.
To an accountant, I can't imagine anything worse. I mean, again, I'm a CPA by education. So, are you dissing me or what?
Okay, you didn't
A
have
lot
to.
of people really like it. Come on.
Yeah, you're right. I shouldn't
Like,
comment. Yeah, you don't have, but like, oh,
if
that is
people
such a
like their
bad thing to
job,
say to someone.
what? Well,
Like,
well,
I can't imagine anything worse.
yeah. I mean, obviously the woman was not happy. You don't say that to people. But I was like, okay. And then, you start feeling bad about yourself when you're like, well, I'm not a CEO of a company, or I'm not this. I can't do that. And so then you go down this rabbit hole of feeling bad about yourself, and that makes you unhappy. So there have been plenty of moments like that in my life. Not anymore, because I really make the choice. And yes, I will have bad days. Today was one of them where, like, okay, well, what's next? What bad thing is going to happen to us? But it's a choice, right? I mean, for me, it really is. Like, I know that I have been very unhappy in periods of my life, and I know what it feels like to be really happy, and I'm going to choose happy any day of the week.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's
Uh,
just kind of a hard thing to achieve in the moment. You underestimate the importance of being happy,
mm,
especially for kids my age, because right now it's figuring out, okay, well, what do you want to do with your life? And that the first priority isn't necessarily being happy. It's okay, where am I going to get a job? Where am I going to settle down? Who am I going to get married to? Well, how many kids am I going to have? How am I going to fund this? How am I going to fund that? It's not like, oh, am I going to actually enjoy my life?
yeah, but you got to think about it. How am I going to enjoy my life while still accomplishing these things? Like, if you're just waiting for the next thing to happen, you're never going to be happy. If you're
Mm,
miserable in your job, figure out how you can make a change. And I know that's easier said than done, but we should be happy. I think one thing the last couple of years have taught us is that we need to enjoy life more. We need to really, one thing I thought it was going to teach us was that we're going to be kinder. We're going to care more for other people. I was completely off on that one. And if I could go back in time, I'd be like, no, this is not going to, absolutely. People are going to be kinder. That was wrong. So, but I can make that choice for myself. I can be kind. I can treat other people with respect. I can talk to people about their day, their life. This morning, I had a nice thing happen this morning. So one of the things that we did with our one of the boards that I'm on is that we had a board retreat, and they said, I want you guys, we're going to match you up with somebody random that is also on the board. And we want you guys to get together and learn about each other. And so this morning I did that. And the guy was fantastic. Like, we went and had breakfast, and I learned that he's actually from New York, and learned all about his family. And, he has a grandson that's on the autism spectrum. So we had a lot of in common when talking about Noah. And it was just really, really nice to sit down, and he was so kind. Like, I just felt like, okay, this like fills my cup to talk to someone who just also kind of sees the world in a way like, okay, how can we make things better instead of focusing on the negative all the time?
yeah. I love getting to know people.
I love hearing people's stories.
Well,
Like,
you just never know. Every single person I talk to, I can find something that connects me to them.
yeah,
And that's what I love. And people also love to talk about themselves. And then once you get that connection, you can talk about, like, I don't know. I just love it.
yeah. And I think in situations like that, it's also like the active listening piece. Like, listen because you want to learn. Don't wait. I see a lot of people like waiting to get their next word out, right? So they're not, once you start thinking about where your next word is, you're not paying attention at all,
Yeah.
you know? And it's like, how can you be authentically interacting with this person if your whole goal is to tell more about yourself? It's really, for
Mhm.
me, it's really about learning about the other person. Trust me, I like to talk about myself, right? I have a lot of good stories. That's my thing that I love is being a storyteller. But listening, I learned so much from listening to other people and hearing their stories. And then it just makes my, like, when I talk to other people, stories even stronger. Wait, I heard this story today. This was amazing. I think it's so much fun. Okay, we got sidetracked again. We do this every time.
I know. Well, I get sidetracked every single conversation I have ever.
Yeah. So
So,
you're, let's go back to customer service for a second. Have you had a situation where you kind of were really frustrated, but then you kind of approached it in a different way and the person was like, did something special for you or was really nice to
oh, I
you?
mean, like, yeah, of course. I think I go into like most customer service situations with a positive attitude because I know if I was ever in that situation, there's no way I'd be perfect. Like, I'd
Yeah.
fuck up all the time. But this happened quite recently, and I've been better at sticking up for myself. And recently, that's been something I'm working on. It's like not, I guess, sticking up is the right word. Like talking, expressing when I'm upset about something, whether that be to customer service people or to my friends, or family. But this happened for my birthday dinner. We were at a very nice restaurant in the city, and the city has notoriously long wait times, even if you have a reservation, which sucks. But we were there waiting for our table for over an hour and a half. And I checked in a couple of times, like being nice. And the final time they were like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. We were looking for you. We couldn't find you. Blah, 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 blah." Okay. And then since I handled the situation really nicely, they sent out like free desserts and free appetizers with our meal, which I wasn't expecting that at all. Honestly, at that point, I just wanted to sit down and eat. Um, but I know that lady, like, it was a Friday night in New York City. She's already dealt with people that are going to be mean and nasty without even a second thought about it. So I know that, I mean, and I'm just like not the kind of person that's ever going to handle a situation like that. And I wasn't looking for free anything. I just was, I don't know, just looking to get sat. And since I treated the situation, I politely asked and I was like, "Hey, just wanted to let you know," not like, "Where's my table? I've been here for blah, 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 blah." I was like, "Hey, we've been waiting for a little bit. Like, is there any update?" And then that's just, I don't know, it works out.
Yeah. I mean, again, I say it, I've said it 5 million times, but you have a choice, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you can choose to go and I'm not saying, I mean, you can be kind and confident, right? Like, so it's not like if you're kind, you're weak. That's not true at all. You can be able to stand up for yourself and do it in such a way that it can positively impact the other person. I'm a big believer in it's not always what you say, but it's how you say it. So again, I was at a meeting the other day and one of the board members, they put up this screen of how they were going to display the financial information. And one of the board members was like, "That looks awful to me. You need to do this. You need to do that. You need to do that." And it was kind of like, and everybody was like, their jaw dropped because really, like, that's not how you approach things. It could be like, this information is great. Have you thought about maybe changing the display up so it's a little bit easier to read? My thoughts would be like something that is actually
It's like the idea of
helpful.
constructive criticism. Like,
Yeah.
no one is going to take your critiques if you are just shitting on their work or just them. But if it's like, I hate the concept of a compliment sandwich. And I don't think you need the second compliment at the end. But I do think it's like, this is great because usually most of the time it is great.
Right.
Like they put in the effort, they put in this work for you, but it's not necessarily what you wanted or asked for. So can we adjust a couple of things? Again, yeah, it is exactly. It's how you say something.
Yeah, and I was like, what just happened there? Like, why? This could have been handled so much better. And everybody in the room was like put off by this woman because it was,
And it's just like you're
it's
taking your frustrations out from whatever's going on
right.
onto some person who barely probably knows you, who doesn't deserve it.
She was not frustrated about the financial information. She was frustrated with something else and just, she saw that and she instantly was like, bleh, all over the person. I was like, wait, what?
Mhm.
And, but you see that so many times. It's like, what do they say? Don't kill the messenger. I don't
Yeah.
know the exact thing. Something it's I don't know if it's kill. Don't, but it's it's true. It's like
I have
How,
lived life as a hateful person in the past, and I will straight up say I am a hater. Okay, I am a hater, but I am not a hateful person anymore. I because living with that inside of you, it just like eats you up. You could just anyone could do anything, and you would just snap. Like it's just a not fun way to live. And then looking back, I didn't like myself then.
do you think it had to do with self-confidence too? Like, do you think that you weren't like looking at yourself and feeling good about yourself, so therefore you were finding another way to react? Because I see that in myself. Like, I see like where I
Yeah,
had my most struggles is when I wasn't believing in myself, when I didn't feel like I had value. And so I came with up with another mechanism to cope. And
yeah,
sometimes it would just being
putting
reactive.
yeah, or just like putting others, people or other works down just so you can feel better. I think, yeah, 100%. I mean, if you're not content and happy with yourself, how are you ever going to be content and happy with others?
Yeah.
It's just so it's such a simple concept when you say it out loud, but of course it's hard to accomplish. Like that finding love for yourself and happiness within yourself is like so hard to do. It's I don't and it's like there's no like 10-step program or well this worked for me, you should try it. I don't even know what worked for me. Like I looking back, I'm like, oh, maybe one day I just decided to be happy. Probably not. It just now I look back and I'm like, okay, yeah, like that was a bad time. I was a hateful person. I don't know what I did to fix it. So I can't, I don't know. I just
You read my book. Ha
probably,
ha ha ha
I
ha.
did read it.
Yeah. No, I, it's something that I think about a lot, that thinking back to how reactive I was in certain situations and now realizing like why would I behave like that? But it really was about the fact that I wasn't loving myself.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't love yourself, it's hard to love other people. It's hard to, move forward in the world with positivity when you don't feel good about who you are. And, one of the things I talk about in the book is about changing the way we see ourselves. That I truly believe that we don't need to change who we are. We need to change the way we see ourselves
Mm-hmm.
because each and every one of us brings incredible value to the world. Um, but a lot of times, or most of the time, we don't see it. We don't feel like we're doing enough. We're comparing ourselves to others. We're jealous of what other people have instead of looking at what we have and being thankful for what we have. And it took me a long time to get to that point. And I've had a lot of people tell me, okay, what are the steps you took? I'm like, well, I can tell you all the things that I did, but you're human. So humans do, everybody reacts differently to things. So
Yeah.
let me tell you what I've done, but I can't tell you that's what's going to work for you. You need to figure out what you need and
Mm-hmm.
what you want. So, and that's another big thing that I think that when people are going around and they're very unhappy, they're doing things they don't want to be doing. And sometimes that has to do with work. And sometimes it's very hard to get around that because you need to pay the bills and
Mm-hmm.
figuring out how to find another job. But it's really looking at yourself and saying, is this what I want? And if
Yeah.
you don't want it, then figure out how to make it different. And that has made all the difference for me. It's like I was doing so many volunteer things for so long just because I thought I had to. Like, as a mom, I've got to volunteer at the school and I've got to do this. And I'm like, I don't want to do these things. Like, I want to spend time with my children. I don't need to be answering phones somewhere. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, I mean, people like doing that kind of stuff, but ask yourself, do you want to be doing these things? And I think when you start looking at it from that perspective, you really learn like what you need as a person to make you feel good about yourself, to make you feel confident, to make you feel like you're able to move forward. And that's what really worked for me.
I was thinking, um, it's really funny to me that we teach children and preschoolers or just elementary kids, well, A, sharing is caring, share, be kind, kindness is so important. And then the other one that came to mind was, well, if that person's being mean to you, they probably have something going on in their life, so you shouldn't be mean back. And that was like one of the core things that you guys taught me as a kid. And of course, as a kid, I was like, I don't get that. But now I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I feel a lot of pity for people. and rather than like hate or anger, because I know that there's something going on in their life where they're reacting that way. But that's not things that we implement. Like we teach these skills to preschoolers, yet we don't implement them and act on them in our daily lives.
Yeah, practice what you preach, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's like that story about Millie when we were in the Starbucks drive-through.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was over COVID, so the store itself wasn't open to go inside. And so the way we were waiting in the parking lot, it was packed and the line was completely full, so we had to wait outside of the line. And I tried to put myself in a position that people would be able to get by me if they needed to go to a different part of the parking lot. So we're
Mm-hmm.
sitting there talking, and all of a sudden the line starts moving, and a person from behind me just jumps in front of me into the car line. And I literally lost my shit. I was like, what the hell? What is going on? I mean, what is wrong with this person? Do they not know how to line up? Like all these different things. I was like screaming, and Millie's looking at me like I'm crazy. She's like, and she said to me, "Are you okay, Mom?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just angry right now because this person just completely cut me off. Like we're sitting here waiting." And she's like, "I think you might need to reread your own book. I think you might have forgotten a few things about kindness and patience and understanding. Hello, practice what you preach." And she was completely right. And of course, after that, I couldn't stop laughing because here I am like freaking out because someone cut me off in the line for Starbucks. Like,
Oh
who
yeah.
cares? Like, did
Are
it
you gonna
really?
remember that tomorrow?
Well, I'll remember that story because
Well,
she,
because of that,
because of
but
that. But yeah, otherwise, no. I mean, I get cut off all the time, and people, that's just how people behave sometimes. And yeah, but that one, and what happened at the end of it was that when we finally got up to the drive-through to pay, the person in front of us paid for our drinks. And then Millie said, "Can we pay for the car behind us? How long do you think that will last for?" So it really turned into this positive thing. But in the moment, I was like pissed, and I was like, why am I pissed?
yeah.
But and Millie also said to me, she's like, "You don't have anywhere to go today, Mom. We're
Well,
we're in the middle of a pandemic. What are you worried about rushing for?" And
yeah.
she's like, "You always talk about how we never know what anybody else is going through. Maybe this person, who knows what could have happened in their lives. Maybe they're
Exactly.
having a really bad day. Maybe they just need their morning cup of coffee." Like she went through this whole scenario with me, and I was like,
We should
You're
have Millie
right.
on.
You're right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know if she would come on, but yeah, she'd be hilarious. Yeah, but it's that whole thing of that we teach all these things to our children, but then we don't practice them.
Mhm.
You see all the time how rude people are. I was in the post office yesterday, and there was a son and his mom. He was probably in his mid 20s, I don't know. And she was helping him get his passport. And he was so mean to her the whole time. It made me like so uncomfortable, and I wanted to say something, but I was like, I don't know their
Yeah,
situation.
yeah.
I don't want to jump into that. I mean, who knows? Maybe he'll be meaner to her, more mean to her later. But he was just criticizing everything she had to say. He's like, "Go sit down over there. Go sit down. Don't talk to me." And I was like, holy, like this is ridiculous. And I just feel like I'm seeing more and more of that than seeing the kinder side of people. And it's kind of hard to stomach sometimes. That one just really made me uncomfortable to the core. Like I like felt my stomach was like queasy after that. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is how we need to like again practice what we preach, right? If we're telling our
And
kids be kind and share.
setting the example goes past just being around setting an example around your kids. Like to be the example and to be their hero, you have to be doing these things 24/7
When nobody's watching. It's
when
like,
nobody's watching.
yeah,
That's the most important part.
yeah. How do you behave when nobody's watching? Are you mean when none of your family is around, or are you still going to be the same kind person? And easier said than done, I know, but it's something that we should really try to strive. We should strive for. We should want to do this all of the time and not just to impress our kids and then be an asshole 2 seconds later to someone when our kids aren't watching. Like, be authentic and be kind in this world.
Mm-hmm. Very
And
important.
yeah, I mean, across the board, I want to tell one more funny story about, customer service and being kind and understanding and really being happy. And and I know you know this story, but the whole story about my minivan, which, tying
Did
it
we
back
not
in.
talk about this before?
No, we haven't talked about it yet. I
Are
don't
you
think
sure?
so. No, I don't think so. I don't know if we have or not. But you know what? It's a good one to share twice, even if we did.
I mean, yeah.
Um, but I had been out of town and we got back. This was the whole story with Noah getting bit by a rattlesnake or copperhead, and he was fine. We'll tell that story next time. We should talk about like
I feel like I'm
crazy
having deja vu right now, just so
crazy
you
medical things. Okay, maybe I did talk about it before, but I'll
know.
tell a
Still
different side
applies.
to it. I'll tell a different side to it. So it turns out that a rat had gotten into my minivan and literally chewed on every seat in the minivan. There was rat shit everywhere. It was the most disgusting thing I had ever seen. And when I was younger, I think we did talk about this actually. When I was younger, I would have been really embarrassed about this. I would have been like, like I can't even take it somewhere because it's embarrassing. I can't like who lets their car get so dirty that rats want to like make a home in it?
I can be
um,
in.
right, I know, but when you have crackers stuffed in every nook and cranny, they're gonna find you.
Uh-huh.
But when I went in to see, the guy when they towed it, and then when I went to see the guy who was in charge, I just had to make a joke about it because I was like, who does this happen to? Like, and he's like, you're taking this really well. And I was like, what am I gonna do about it? Rats ate my minivan. And yes, it was the most disgusting thing. And like I said, when I was younger, I would have been embarrassed about it, but I didn't find it to be embarrassing at all. I actually turned it into like, okay, this is a good thing. I'm going to be really happy about this because now I get to get a new car. I mean, they totaled it. So I got, a decent payout and got to get something different. But in the moment, I was like, okay, this is disgusting. But it's mindset. Like I could have been like totally mortified and I could have been like so angry. And I was like, okay, this is really ridiculous. And I'm really happy I get to get a new car.
Yeah. I was looking at have I talked about my calendar on here before? I feel like I have. My
Y-
Unfuck Yourself calendar that I was gifted by yours truly, I guess
yeah.
the month before.
Yes.
Hanukkah, and it's a good quote for the episode today, which I think was really funny. Um, you might not like the view you have, but you've also become a little comfy with it. You've eked out an existence, made some friends, cobbled together a life, and made this shit work. And you'll die with this perspective. It will become everything, and you'll never see it unless you challenge it, which is exactly what I'm tasking you with. So don't change your life, change your mindset.
Yeah, I love it. I just think it's so important these days, especially because when you look around this world, there's like so much shit happening, right? Like, but if you change your mindset and you interact with other people in a positive way, like you can make a huge difference. I'm telling you, for me, it has made all the difference. And waking up, I do ridiculous stuff now, which is really good ridiculous stuff. But I do, positive affirmations in the morning. I do evening gratitudes. I talk to myself. I do
I talk to myself
because
all the time.
it's like building myself up to
Mm.
make me like, okay, you got this. You can do this. All these different things and, about loving myself. I think it's so important for each and every one of us to look in the mirror and see the amazing person that each of us is
Yeah.
and let go of the self-loathing because we can't fit into that next pair of pants or we don't have the body like the swimsuit model does. Like we got to let it go and we got to be happy with exactly who we are. And when we can do that, we can then, I really think it really affects how we interact in the world.
And I got a piece of advice when I was probably in third grade at summer camp was fake it till you make it. And that's a silly little piece of advice, but you might not be happy in the moment, but putting yourself in a position where or just like making yourself feel happy, eventually you will be. Eventually. It's going to
There's
take a
that.
while.
Yeah. And I don't like the fake it
Something
till
like
you
that.
make it piece, but I think that you're only in this moment right now, right? So
Mm-hmm.
keep moving forward through that moment and you can get into the next moment, which is probably going to be a great moment.
Yeah.
Um, But for me, I always feel like we need to be authentic. So if you're going to ask me, like we talked about in the last episode, how's your day going? And I'm going to tell you today was for shit. But you know what? Later on, I mean, I'm going to be in a point where I feel better, and I
Mhm.
already feel better because I got to talk to you. But that I'm ready to look at all the positive things and stop focusing on the negativity.
Mhm.
Um, I read a study, if you make yourself smile, the more you make yourself smile, the happier that you are, which is so interesting. It's actually a scientific study about smiling leads to happiness. So you keep smiling and you do feel better. It's funny that it's something, it's actually like a response that your body has to that. But I think that let's just smile to another person. Guess what? If you smile, most likely, I don't know about in New York City, but most likely they're going to smile back, right?
And that smile or that compliment or that thank you, that could make their whole day.
And I look for that all the time now. Like if I see something, if I see someone wearing a really cute outfit, I'm going to tell them not to just make them happy, but because why am I holding it in? If I see something and I think, "Oh my God, you look amazing." Say it, you
Yeah.
know? "Oh my God, I
Or
love your
saying it in your
nails."
head.
Yeah, I'm saying it in my head. Say it out loud. So, um yeah, be kind. Like, okay, takeaways for today.
Be the kind of person that lifts people up around you through your actions and your words and your kindness. And that makes you happier.
Agreed. And understand that you're going to have unhappy moments.
Uh-huh.
And it's kind of moving through those and getting to the next step and really thinking, okay, this was a crappy day, but tomorrow's going to be amazing. So I think we just have to keep reminding ourselves that everything that we do makes a difference in the world. And especially when we lead with kindness and compassion, for me, that leads to happiness. And um, it's my state of mind is being happy. And even when it gets a little crappy, I still want to be happy.
That was
I
a
like
good one.
that. You like that? I like that. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Um, okay. So starting next week, we are going to be weekly. Starting next
Are
week, we're going to
we?
be weekly. Yeah,
Well,
because
what
it's
about that
March.
week? You're gonna come home or you're gonna be home on time?
We're gonna record one together from your apartment while I'm in New York.
Did you?
That's
Okay.
gonna be fun. Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Well, then I have
cool.
to. Okay. Well, you
Yeah,
should
yeah. You got to clean up a little bit
prep
more.
them. Yeah.
um, but yeah, so we look forward to sharing more information with you guys, and this has been like such episode 4. It's been so fun, and we're loving it. So
Yeah.
share it, tag us, check out our social media, the Daughter Dearest podcast, and also Simone Canego, Olivia Canego.
You
Last
change it. It's
I did
Simone
it. Now
now.
it's
Okay.
Simone Canego on Instagram. Yeah.
Just making sure.
So, and again, if you search, you will find us, but last name is Knego for anybody interested.
We're the only two Olivia and Simone Canegos in the world.
I think we're going to say that on every episode because we are. Makes it
Yeah.
fun, makes it unique.
Okay.
Okay, signing off for this time, and we look
Yeah.
forward to our next episode. Thanks so much for listening.
Thank you guys.